The Battle of Umbara was one of the most infamous battles of the Clone Wars, a grueling high casualty slog that ended in 21 BBY on a rather dark note. We've talked about the battle a lot on this channel, and for good reason. Not only was it one of the largest and bloodiest battles of the war, but it was exceptionally important too. In this video, we're going to be dissecting the entire Battle of Umbara, including some parts of the conflict you might not have heard before.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Umbara originally sided with the Republic in the Clone Wars, but it seceded after the assassination of its Senator Medici in mid-20 BBY. This had plenty of potential to be catastrophic for the Republic. Firstly, Umbara was a very advanced world with military technology that far outclassed the galactic standard at the time, which alone made it a major threat to the Republic. On top of that, however, Umbara was a very strategic world at this point in the Clone Wars. It was located in the Expansion region, a strip of the galaxy that contained a few major hyperspace lanes, and it happened to sit right in the middle of the most important of those lanes, the Great Kashyyyk Branch. The faction that controlled Umbara could have a significant impact on trade with Kashyyyk, one of the most important worlds in the Mid-Rim. Kashyyyk was quite loyal to the Republic, but at this point in time, the Confederacy was beginning to close in around it. Randon, Balamak, and Onderon had all seceded at the start of the Clone Wars, and when Umbara joined them, it almost cut Kashyyyk off from the Republic completely. Kashyyyk was under so much pressure that it even considered joining the Confederacy around this time for the sake of trade, and so the Republic urgently needed to retake Umbara. If they had been unsuccessful, they might have lost Kashyyyk along with a whole lot of Mid-Rim worlds that took Kashyyyk's lead on diplomatic matters. At that point, the Republic might well have lost the war. Hoping to quickly reclaim Umbara, the Republic sent out 4 esteemed Jedi generals and a massive assault force to reclaim the planet. But Umbara was far from defenseless. When the Republic's assault ships and Star Destroyers reached the planet, they found a fleet of Separatist warships waiting for them, as well as a horde of Umbaran soldiers on the planet below. Orbital fighting was fierce, but the Republic eventually managed to break the Separatist blockade, in no small part thanks to the efforts of Jedi Commanders Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee, who commanded starfighter forces in the early stages of the battle. As the naval battle continued, the Republic began landing its ground forces on Umbara. Assault ships broke atmosphere and disgorged gunships, which set up landing zones all over the planet, primed to assault military bases or major cities, especially the planetary capital. The Umbarans had a series of military bases and defensive positions surrounding the capital, mostly concentrated in the south and east. 3 bunkers, named Bunker Grek, Bunker Krill, and Bunker Usk, were early targets in the battle as they served the base of operations for General Enodius and General Farnese, a pair of notable Umbaran leaders. There was also an airbase west of the capital which the Umbarans used to ferry supplies to the front lines. The whole capital region was covered in a dense jungle which the Umbarans and their heavy vehicles intended to use against the Republic. The Republic focused its assaults on the capital, dedicating the primary forces of all 4 generals to its capture. The 7th Sky Corps, led by General Obi-Wan Kenobi, would be the primary assault force in the battle, advancing toward the capital from the south. Corps led by General Saesee Tiin and General Pong Krell would assault the Umbaran's eastern bunkers, hopefully taking stress off the southern front and making Kenobi's job easier. Meanwhile, General Anakin Skywalker was to lead the 501st Legion against the capital from the north in a flanking operation. All 4 generals were met with heavy resistance as they landed their troops, with Skywalker and the 501st facing some of the worst of it. From their landing site, they moved south against a fortified ridge covered in Umbaran hover tanks and also faced strikes from Umbaran starfighters and hordes of Umbaran soldiers who fired on them from the shadows. The 501st was able to take the ridge and move deeper into the jungle, but they faced resistance at every turn, and Umbaran guerrilla fighters attacked as soon as they made camp, forcing the clones to abandon the ridge and call in bombers. On the eastern and southern fronts, the other units broke Umbaran defensive lines and captured the outer ring of bunkers. As Skywalker had the northern ridge carpet bombed, the other units began to advance toward the capital, facing heavy resistance along the way. Skywalker moved to do the same, but as he did, he received news that he had been recalled to Coruscant. His unit was taken under the command of General Krell, whose own forces had already met up with General Tins on the Eastern Front. Krell's leadership style was very different from Skywalker's, and the 501st resented it. Krell showed no regard for clone lives and had them advance along the main road to the capital instead of taking a safer route. This quickly proved deadly. The advance company walked into a minefield and a subsequent ambush, and it took reinforcements from the rest of the Legion to drive off the Umbarans. Even then, the Separatists regrouped and counterattacked, this time with air support, and the clones were forced off the main road and into the jungle. Krell was furious at this retreat and was in the process of organizing the 501st to take back the road when he received new orders from General Kenobi. The airbase west of the capital had been ferrying supplies to the other fronts, making an advance toward the capital all but impossible. The 501st was to change course and take it, cutting off the capital's supply lines. Ostensibly wishing to take the base as fast as possible, Krell ordered the 501st to advance directly through a narrow gorge toward the airbase. The gorge was perfect for an Umbaran ambush, and one quickly happened. A group of impeding assault tanks emerged from the ground and opened fire on the clones in short order. Using rocket launchers, the clones were able to destroy the tanks, but they met fiercer resistance soon after. The airbase sent out several mobile heavy cannons, their largest and most powerful armored units, to attack the 501st, incurring mass casualties. The clones had no means of destroying the behemoths, and so clone troopers Hardcase and Fives took the initiative to get new weapons. Against the wishes of General Krell, they broke into the Umbaran airbase and stole a pair of starfighters, which they then used to destroy the cannons, allowing the 501st to proceed and capture the airbase. Krell took the base as his command center and began planning his next move. With the airbase in Republic hands, Kenobi and Tin were finally able to push the Umbarans back to the capital and begin a siege. They tried to take the city gates, but as they did so, they discovered a new problem. The Umbarans began launching missiles at them from orbit, where Separatist supply ships were ferrying ammunition and supplies down to the capital as well. The naval battle, which by that point had descended into the planet's upper atmosphere, was beginning to turn in the Confederacy's favor, endangering the entire Republic assault. But the tide was turned once more when a trio of commandeered Umbaran starfighters, piloted by clone troopers Fives, Jesse and Hardcase, joined the battle. These clones infiltrated the Confederacy's supply ship and, at the cost of Hardcase's life, destroyed it from the inside. The destruction of the supply ship severely damaged several nearby warships as well, allowing Republic naval forces to regain the upper hand. It also turned the tide of the capital battle in the Republic's favor, allowing clone forces to take the city gates and finally breach the walls of the capital. But this didn't matter at all to Krell. He was furious that the clones disobeyed his orders to keep away from the Umbaran starfighters, and he ordered Fives and Jesse executed. Against his orders, the clone firing squad refused to kill either clone. Krell tolerated this, however, and sent the 501st on a mission southwest into the jungle, where he claimed Umbaran soldiers had stolen clone armor to use against the Republic. Rex led Torrent Company to investigate, and it seemed Krell's intel was correct. Enemies in clone armor opened fire on Rex's men, and the clones fired back, but Rex discovered the enemy wasn't Umbaran, but instead a unit of clones from the 212th Attack Battalion. He quickly ordered a ceasefire, and he learned the orders of the other unit had come from General Krell as well. Furious, clones from both the 501st and 212th followed Rex back to the airbase and confronted the general. Krell revealed he had indeed turned against the Republic and led the clones on a chase into the Umbaran jungle, killing many of them in the process. The clones were unable to stop Krell until clone trooper Tup tricked him into stepping into the grasp of a Vixus. Krell defeated the beast, but was subsequently stunned by Tup and taken back to the airbase. There, he was executed by Dogma, but not before revealing that he had not only hated the clones, but that he'd also been working to deliberately sabotage the Republic's assault to gain favor with Dooku, so as to become his new apprentice. With Pong Krell dead, the 501st turned back to the battle, only to learn it was over. While they were dealing with Krell's treachery, the 7th Sky Corps had captured the Umbaran capital. The Rutai, the ruling council of Umbara, had surrendered, and the remaining Separatist warships were pulling back. After a few more days of putting down scattered pockets of resistance, the Battle of Umbara was over, and against all odds, the Republic was victorious. But this victory came at a high cost. The Republic's casualties on Umbara were catastrophic, and the Grand Army of the Republic was spread even more thinly to compensate. So that's the full story of the Battle of Umbara. But what do you think? Are there any other battles you'd like to see us dissect like this? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyways guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.